Good evening, you lovely lot. It is Wednesday night live at home tonight. I'm on childcare duties. Episode 5. Let's go. Tell you what, I realise I forgot to just post the link on WhatsApp. Absolute nightmare, I tell you. There we go. In fact, I should do that right now. Just bear with me 1 second. I mean, if people have forgot by now, be shocked. There we go. Got that done. Right, ladies and gents, how are you all? Hope you're all well. Apologies about last week. That was an absolute nightmare, but I'm here. I'm back, albeit I'm not in the studio. I am at home. The wife's out on a bender for some birthday party. So, wowzers. Yeah. And I've currently got Harriet in the kitchen doing something with flour and cookie dough or something. What the hell could go wrong with that? Oh, crikey. So I'm going to start with a few changes. So we changed from question time live to Wednesday night live, not completely reinventing the wheel, but there's a couple of parts of this actually, and it's when things just start feeling a bit repetitive. I'm not going to lie, sometimes it starts feeling a bit heavy. So I've been mulling it over, and there's 2 parts. I'm going to make some small tweaks to, nothing major. The first part is the auctions, the live auction integration in it. Now, when we started doing these live auctions on YouTube, before anybody else had figured out that was a good idea, we stopped it in the end because the format, the way it all works, I wasn't happy with. And as I've come back to it, I'm not happy with it again. So, and we do a lot, you know, throughout the WhatsApp and everything else we're doing. There's fish going out left, right, and center. And not only am I not happy with it, I'm not happy that it's interfering in this time that we have together every week. It's just not something. This hour was always about education, sharing the love of koi keeping, community, you name it, and throwing a big, massive sales part into it all. Even if it did bring some value, to me, it doesn't feel right and it's not sitting well. So that's getting scrapped. I have come up with something, however, that is going to replace it as a part of the show. And I think this is going to be quite cool. We'll see if it is quite cool from everyone's reaction to it. So we do the prize draw competitions quite a lot. I love them because the fish I put into them are pretty extreme, to be honest. You would say generally, maybe, you know, the fish that are out of reach for what most people buy. And they're very well supported. And they're good fun. They are good fun. Someone gets a banging fish out of it at the end of it. And I love to see how happy that makes people as well. So, and the whole entertainment and fun vibe I like to it. So, and this is actually going to be, this will produce content from this, because what we're going to launch, and it'll start this week within the WhatsApp group, and it'll make its way onto here. Mystery boxes as a part of the prize draw competitions. So the format itself, every week we are going to collate 2 boxes, box A and box B. You'll be able to get tickets for it, enter into the prize draw. On this live, we will do the draw. Hopefully everyone will be in attendance. If not, we'll figure out a way of having that information up front. And the winner, as they're selected, will get to choose between box A and box B. Bearing in mind, they'll already be pre-selected, pre-done filmed as well. And as soon as that's decided, we'll hit the play button and get to see what's in the box that's been decided. And you will never get to see what's in the box that wasn't. So I just think it's going to be great. It's not going to be a heavy ticket price either, so you can go as little or mad on it as you want. But yeah, going to be good fun. And there won't just be fish in them either. We're going to mix it up with all kinds of stuff. So pretty cool, I think. And I think it'll be quite a fun segment to throw into this as opposed to just another fish auction. So there we go. That bit will be as of next week. Stay tuned in the WhatsApp group for getting your hands on the tickets for that. And yeah, exciting stuff. Susan, no, sorry, because there is likely going to be fish in the boxes sometimes, not actually physically in, but you get the gist. Soon, give us chance. We're a small team working very, very hard at the minute, making sense of this changing direction that's been chaotic. The other little change is going to be to the Q&A format, because it's still taking up a huge chunk, which is not a bad thing. But I would like to make it more topical and focused. I think that's going to overall, over the time, provide more benefit. So as my loyal followers and community members on WhatsApp and Telegram, each week, both groups will get to decide through a poll what are the 2 topics of discussion for the Q&A segment. And they will be the only topics I'll be taking questions on and answering questions on in that time. You'll all know up front, so you can prepare them and get it ready. But I think this way might just keep it a bit more honed in. And then episode by episode, you'll be able to look back and there'll actually be useful segments in all that. So this week, just so you can get ready for it, because like I say, I'm answering no questions outside the scope of this. And if we've not got any questions, I will just fill the space with some rambling about it, because I'm quite sure we can get that done. So from the Telegram community, if you're not in it, links in the description. That topic they chose in there, and it amazed me the difference, actually. Just bear with me a second. Oh, my past experiences. So that was the one from the Telegram community. And then WhatsApp was all about medications. So take your pick, fire into all of it. Yeah, get them in, get them ready. If not, like I say, I will find something to talk about for it. So my past experiences and medications will be the topic for tonight's Q&A. For the Koi Focus section, I have got a look at some Takano Tosai Sankes in detail, because that also ties into something else I'll be talking to you about. Video dropping on the channel tomorrow, our next Grow Out event, and it's going to be an absolute banger. Harvesting the Heeled Sauries tomorrow as well. Their bonus period is up. My God, I mean, they've had a bonus month at it. Fantastic for everyone involved. So we'll be filming the video for that as well, which will be coming soon. What's that, Satch? that is actually where I do hang all my shit, but I'd not even picked up on that. Fair play. Just another one in the pipeline. It's coming. If I wasn't so fussy, this stuff would get out there a bit faster. But I am like things to be right, so testing them. Couple of items actually we've had, like, they've not washed and done very well, so you know, I want longevity for all this stuff. It's fantastic. So yes, guys, please, questions. I'm just going to remind you, because I'm seeing them dropping through. We're going to be focused in on medications this week and my past experiences. So yes, questions on that. What else have we got here? I've done my changes. Mention my mystery box. We'll come back to that again in a bit. Oh, I've got another little video segment to share, because those little set of keys I rattled around, it's going to be slipping out more and more in a few bits of video. So I thought I'd share it with you all this evening, so you can see what that was and where we're heading with all that. And then I just want to take this little moment, maybe at the end as well, to speak to you if you are somebody out there who supported us purchasing fish via Koi Online or Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi over this winter period. You've got them overwintering with us. I saw some numbers the other day that absolutely blew me away, and it does tie into what's going to become a chaotic month. And we've had been building systems; they're yet to be tested. I know it's coming this month, so yeah, I've got a bit of an ask from you because this is a hell of an operation to sort out. As I was looking through some data, I kind of stumbled across this, but we currently have in excess of 500 koi swimming around owned by you guys that are overwintering with us. It is fucking bonkers. I've got no other words for it. I really appreciate that. I'm very grateful to you all for that support. But obviously, it's coming up to the time where we need to get them to you. And there's lots of variables in all this. So, what we are working towards at the minute is getting these to a sensible ambient temperature that's kind of like a mid ground. They're going to be sat around 12 degrees by the time that we're done. That's not everybody's. Some people have got fish that have been growing on still in my indoor ponds. They're going to be different. But what we're aiming to do is get them as close to ambient as possible, where possible. Just that makes it easier because it's going to be a lot easier. We've got two problems in all this. Some people might be warmer, yes, going up them few degrees. If we've got them at 12, saying you're going up into 18, that's really not. Sorry, I've just dropped my pen. A big issue. It's more of an issue if it ends up going the other way. But what we have to watch, and again, we're going to cater for it, is these things can chill quite rapidly overnight as well. So I don't want them too warm. You know, we could quite happily have them sat at 18 because people are up at them temperatures. We ship them overnight, they drop right down, and then you warm them right back up. That's not good for them. So how are we kind of working it at the moment? There's two sides to this. Some people have been reaching out who have got specific dates they'd like to try and aim for. That's absolutely fine. We can cater for that absolutely. When obviously the team have been drilled on just getting some background information on how your fish are, where they're currently at, temperature wise and whatnot, to make sure that we're going to be, right, and it's going to be sensible for the fish. If the team does hear something that they're not happy with, by my instruction, I have told them to point blank refuse to ship that fish, and I don't care what anyone's got to say about it. If we're not right and we're not happy that that fish is going to be received and settled into that environment properly, and we'll just need to wait a bit longer, we will do it. That's in the fish first. The welfare of that fish is of paramount importance. We've not just spent all this time keeping them looking absolutely mint over winter for it all to go tits up at the last hurdle. So we've got that. So you can reach out if you do have specific dates in mind. What we are doing, however, and it's our preferred approach to it, is the team are working through all of the orders on the system and reaching out slowly and booking them in on slots based on the information that you give us and where it's all at. Because can you imagine, they're not just in one pond, they are all over the place. It's a very complex operation. And we want to make sure that, like I say, fish welfare is kept top of that list at all times. To help all this, we've been drilling the team on it this week, and again, just built some more systems, because generally the phone lines will go through to primarily Susan, who works in the office. Drilled on, we're getting the phone lines ready for opening is where we're going with that one. So that will also be a way you'll be able to reach out to the team, and not just through social media messaging and stuff like that. So there'll be somebody at the end of the phone to help out, coordinate, and get all this sorted as well. Crazy stuff. It really is. But yes, it'll be nice to get those pondbacks. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there going to be very excited to get your hands on your new fish, and they are looking superb. Honestly, Colin pass comment every day about how well they've all overwintered and done, and it's yes, fantastic. But the hard part is really coming up now. What I'm also going to do is some educational content coming up around settling in your new fish. I know a lot of you out there are probably very well seasoned at it, but I think any tips useful can be provided. It's a complex process. there's a lot mixed up in it all. So I just want to make sure everybody gets it absolutely spot on, really. So yeah, that's that bit. There we go. Plenty of you in again tonight, ladies and gents. That's absolutely amazing. I think what we should do is get stuck into fancy carp. How much to grow them all on again? Mate, so he's got a Matsukao Baki and Ginrin Matsukao Baki, amongst others, that are Saito pieces I've been raising, and holy shit, they are absolutely ridiculous. And Mickey, yes, mate, I think we probably do need a large lorry for yours, mate. It's brilliant. It's good fun. I tell you what, before we jump into that, let me just dig out, because I know I've got to find the file where this is, and the system we use has just had an update as well and thrown things out a little bit. Been nice to see a bit of sunshine as well, folks, hasn't it? Just today, oh my God, it's been fantastic. Mornings are a bit fresh, but crikey. By the afternoon, it's absolutely glorious. And I'll tell you what is making me so happy, seeing that sun come up at, what was it, 6:10 this morning, and dragging out in the evening. Oh my God, love it. I'll soon be back on me 4 a.m. starts. Can't wait. I know that sounds freakish. I'm a morning person, and don't think I'm doing it both ends either. I'm a sack of shit normally after 8 o'clock, but can't win them all. Right, just bear with me. I'm just going to go quiet a minute, because if I don't concentrate, I will never find this. It's all back to front as well. Here we go. We're into it. Oh, Terence, no, you didn't miss an announcement about what my new toy was. New toy stressing me out quite a lot at the minute. Hence why I didn't just jump in talking about all this either, because my God, I've seen how people just take too much straight, watching shows like mine and others, take it straight away and jump on stuff, I think, too quickly. I'm just very mindful of it and how people do react, hence why I don't just throw stuff out there until I know it's absolutely solid. Right, there we go. Got the first one on. So, ladies and gents, cut myself off there. I know what's just happened there then. You see, they've changed all this now. Oh my God, that's not good. Let me just hit this and see what happens. That little set of keys that I shook before, this is what it was all about. No, and that's not playing. Right, here it comes. Jingling a little set of keys around a while ago. Here's a little bit more about what it's all about. Unit 3, ladies and gents. This is in Retford. It is, so we're running all that span across there. Not too far away from where I live. Not too far away from Fish Farm, but... And it's a work in progress still. We've literally done very little to this since we moved in, other than get this floor painted, get the first lick of paint on. Well, we have already done one of our first events in here, and that's going to be the sort of purpose of it. This is not going to be a shop that's open, so to speak, but it is a venue, and something that we desperately need since starting up these retail ventures, and for me to fully fulfill a lot of the plans and experiences that we want to build. And then, yeah, another nice space through here, which will serve its purpose. Flick the lights on, there we go. Nice little kitchen area and everything that we need. And in here is where the new podcast studio is going to be built, because I really want it absolutely built for purpose, sound deadening the job lot. So we're going to be getting a stud wall up in there. I've got some storage in there, loads of storage up there for all our boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, Exciting stuff. And, well, now you've seen it, we'll cut back and I'll tell you more about what I've got planned for it. Screen view is stressing me out. Yeah, there you go. So that space, we've used it once already for our NND Jumbo Tosai Kohaku event. Worked an absolute dream. With everything that we're doing, the farm is not built for, and for so many reasons, we can't have visitors, masses of visitors and stuff going on up there. CFAS, biosecurity, planning constraints. There's a lot to it. Plus, it is a working farm. It's not built for people being all over it. And even just little logistical issues we've got, like I say, there over 500 koi over wintering. That's a shed load of people who's bought them, collections and the processors and all that. We just need a destination spot. Plus, for everything I want to do. So I spoke last time I was on about my koi masterclass, actual in-person classes and things like that. This space is going to be superb for that. So we're not going to do anything fixed in there. Like pop-up space, potential community gatherings, community events, and then the events like we did with the NND Jumbo Tosai Kohaku, and we're doing with the Takano Sanke Grow Out event coming up for the selection of it, you see. So very multi-purpose. It gives me that side as well to really get the media studio built. So podcasting, so I really want to get that back properly. I've just not been happy with how it all comes together. And yeah, also have the setup in there for the lives and everything else. We just had the fiber to property in today, working an absolute dream. So yeah, and I just think it'd be a nice touch to add a physical side to all of this as well. It's all right just being online, doing all this. There's nothing that beats getting face to face with people. So it's going to be absolutely bang on for it. And something else to burn a load of money on, folks. It just seems to be the only thing I'm doing at the minute. So there we go. That's that. There's going to be more on that coming, dropping on a video. Aaron is back now. So he's, we've got, I think there's 2 more journals, videos I've got in the pipeline to bring us up to date. And then we'll go on from there. So without all that, Jesus Christ, 22 minutes already. Let's drop into
right class.
So I'll have a scan through. We're going to start with koi medications for the question. So I will see where we're at on that one. Nigel, save hiring a showground. Sorry, just on the last bit. Yes, apart from that, we cannot handle Battle of the Breeders event capacity in there. Absolutely no chance. Much smaller scale, but then Newark's there if we need it. Yes, so questions about medications. I'm going to have I'll have a quick flick through, make sure I've not missed anything that you've already posted already. Feel free to fire any questions in now you'd like to ask about medications, broad spectrum, anything you want to ask. Let's get stuck into it. There we go. There's the first one. Lee Taylor. Evening all. What's the lowest temperature you can use PP, Ricky? So for me, I don't care. I've used potassium in very, very cold water. Theoretically, it does better because in them colder temperatures, oxygen levels in the water are always going to be substantially higher. It just depends what you're using it for. Medications, for me, I don't like the misuse of them because in themselves, they are another stress factor. You go medicating healthy fish, you're going to upset something and potentially create another problem down the line. So, and I've actually had this with malachite and formalin, interestingly, because there's a temperature warning on that. And yeah, formaldehyde in really cold water can be an issue. However, let's just run a scenario here. Your koi, you're unheated, you say at 4 degrees, and your koi have got white spot. It can happen. I've seen it happen. What do we do in this scenario? Because if you don't medicate that, I can promise you the white spot will take the fish out. There's no doubt about it. It will. So you're caught here, aren't you? Catch-22. I think a lot of the companies, obviously with the medication, and I've said this several times before, they just don't want to get sued. That's the bottom line with that one. And there are things they have to put on that bottle, hence around dosage and stuff that do appease the masses. But yeah, PP for me, I've used it in very cold water. But again, because I've had to and not just chucking at them willy-nilly. So I have used it down to 4 degrees in the past. As cold as I've gone. Below that, I mean, you're going to be the fish are going to start to struggle anyway without hitting them with some medication. So I'd be very careful. But I would only be using it that low if it's absolutely necessary. I stress that and stress it again. Peter, I've only just seen that. What kind of worms you've opened? God knows what I've done now. Do you want to explain, Peter? Dear, love it. Oh, Nigel, sorry to hear that your Tamasab has died, buddy. Oh, that's it. Paul, remind you, hit that like button, ladies and gents. It always makes a massive difference. Merchandise in the box too. Maybe Mickey. I'm not going to tell you though. That's the whole part of it. God, guys, so many comments. Amazing. Right, here we go. Has the antibiotic treatment worked on your koi with the fin issues? Absolutely has. The Batrial's done amazing on that one. The fin is healing as soon as that pond. You just reminded me that. I'm not going to go off on a tangent too much, but for fuck's sake, these fucking drum filters. Oh, so we just fixed one on the Sakai pond, which had motor went down on it. Got the motor fixed. The fucking cleaning pump broke on it. The one opposite it, screens need replacing because they'd all come away again. And then we got that fixed, ready to crank it up, and the cleaning pump seals all broke now, just pissing water out everywhere. I'll tell you what, I love to know what I actually spend in a year keeping those 8 drum filters fully functional. But back onto that, yes, it has worked. I just want to get the heat up now to allow the fin regrowth to go as quickly as it can. And it really to get back to top health, because that pond's been sat at 18 degrees now for a long time because I've not been able to feed it properly because of issues with the drum screens, which is ultimately just sending shit into the bio chamber too much. So just a reminder, ladies and gents, with this and moving forward, we are focused on a couple of topics decided by the WhatsApp and Telegram groups. We're on koi medications at the moment, and I'm just trying to scroll through to see what we've got. There we go. That's a good one. This will get me rambling. What's your thoughts on the meds we get in the UK? I think they're not as good as in the past. So I don't think, in regards to off-the-shelf medications, and I've had 20 odd years of this now, they've actually changed in strength or anything like that. What seems to have changed is everything else around it. And I think that's the biggest part of the problem. Dosages haven't changed. That's also part of the problem. It's still, I mean, dosage information around everything is the same as it was, I think, even beyond my 20 odd years so far, which is just wild, really. Yeah, there's nothing really. New treatments have come in. Colombo Alparex, love the stuff, think it's fantastic. And their range, to be honest, because they're a bit punchier, and I think that's why they are so effective. But you have got to be careful when you get them. So, yeah, what's changed around it? You could say water's changing. Awareness, I'm not sure. Awareness around dosing. I think the biggest issue here is sat with dosing. It really is. And people, even just not truly knowing your proper water volume, you could just be underdosing by, 200-300 gallons out every time, which is going to be no good whatsoever. Fluke treatments, I would say, I mean, looking back, it's been the same chemicals. I'm just trying to think back to the early days of me doing it, what would have been the choices, but it pretty much is what's out there now. Flubendazole was a bigger one back then. It's still there. Yeah, even when the VMD, the Veterinary Medical Directory, changed everything, they didn't change anything around doses. It was the size of bottles or the amount you could purchase that changed it, and then just slapped a load of tax on it as well, from what I remember, because the licenses made everything more expensive, which is just typical. So yeah, no, I don't think it has changed in that respect, to be honest. Paul, evening, Ricky. When scraping a few fish, how many are too many flukes per fish in your opinion? I've read that out now, Paul. So I'll go. It's not really a medication one, but how many is too many? I mean, when you starting to count, really, 5, 6, 7 on from that, you've got to watch it. You've got to monitor it. You really need to see what the environment's doing as well. Because if the environment's telling you there's a problem, the likely is you need to step in at that point. If you're literally just finding 1, 2, 3 on the scrape, I think even at that, to be honest, around that 3, 4, 5 mark, it's already too many, because it's likely it's on the up. And if you do leave it, it's likely just going to carry on increasing in numbers, because they are starting to show up, Paul. That's the reality. But you have to question why you're scraping in the first place. So if you're scraping, it's likely because you think there's a problem. You see it, you find the flukes, you probably need to intercept and do something. If everything's looking fantastic, you don't need to do anything. That's probably the best advice I can give you. Fucking leave them alone. Don't go looking for problems, because that is when you'll find them, and go from there, because you might find that they are living perfectly well with a few flukes on them, depending on how the environment's doing. And that will be a case, a few flukes will look different in a pond where water's of a better standard to another as well, because it's a different sort of stress reaction. Yeah, I would go back to question, if you're pulling fish up already, it's because you generally suspect there's something wrong. Proactive scraping is for the trade, I believe, for the likes of us, because we have to keep stuff clean and know what we're dealing with before fish are sent out anywhere and all the rest of it. So, but generally in my growing ponds, I don't go near them unless there's an issue. And at that point, I start investigating. If I do find something, no matter what it is, I do deal with it. I won't just leave 1 or 2 flukes, because you're not generally scraping every fish either. It might be 1 or 2 on one, 1 or 2 on another, and then one of them's absolutely infested. It's a tricky one. Ian Henderson, hi Ricky. Have you ever used Fluke Solve? And if so, how would you rate it? Many thanks. Yes, I have used Fluke Solve. It's praziquantel based medication. That one, effective. Yes, I've used it. It's worked. It's, I think, one of the pricier ones out there. I couldn't really say that for sure. I'm not sure where they sit retail price wise. But yeah, what I tend to find is, if you are having issues with one medication not working, it's probably better to look at the active ingredient in it, because it'll likely be praziquantel or flubendazole, or in the case of Lernex, normal Lernex was, if I remember right, levamisole was the primary active ingredient in it, which is not used in many other ones. There was some flubendazole in there as well, and something else beginning with D that I can't remember. So sometimes it can work to change that active ingredients, rather than just looking at the brands of medications. Look at the active ingredient in it and make sure, if you're having issues, one technique you have is tried mixing that up. Okay, just give me a sec. Let's have another browse. Let's have a look. Crikey. It takes a bit of getting through, this does. Right, there we go. Midori Koi form. Hi, Ricky. Do you jumpstart your fish with vitamin C? I don't remember where I heard giving them vitamin C to promote immune system. Yeah, I mean, me, no. You can imagine this is not, I don't just go throwing anything in willy nilly. So I can't firsthand say I've seen the effects of it. My default would always be that I would hope that I'm nourishing them with a diet that's fulfilling them with all their needs. However, when I've worked with Bryony from London Aquatic Vets, one of her approaches in recovery to after bacterial disease and when fighting it has been to add vitamin C to the pond. So I can't really see any downside to doing it if it's something that you want to do. David, what level of salt would you put in for new arrivals? Okay, so if we're talking new arrivals in the sense of from me to you, you haven't got to. It can help. Just adding one fish to a pond, I don't know if it's worth all the upheaval. In our case, from a trade perspective, the stress level from the shipment is so much that you really need, we have to, because I mean, this is a long, we're talking in the same box, in one of the large size boxes, we'll probably send out maximum 4 or 5 fish into you. Of say 20 to 25%, we'll get 20 fish in that same box from Japan. And there's a lot of netting and holding and everything before it. And then they're shipped for, best parts of nearly 40 odd hours to actually get to us unpacked. Massive changes in water, environment, ammonia in the bag, you name it, it goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of issues around osmotic shock and stuff like that that we have to battle against. And I'll often start them out around 0.3, 0.4%. And then if I need to, increase to 0.5 to 0.6. If you're going to do it, there's no, in my opinion, there's absolutely zero harm in doing it. Around 0.3, 0.4%, if you're settling a new fish in, it will help because part of what happens is the koi, as they're adjusting to that new body of water, new environment, recovering from the stress, their immune system takes a dip. It makes them vulnerable. And when they're vulnerable, osmotic system regulation is one that can take a bit of a hit. And it zaps a lot of energy out of them. So just by supporting that with a bit more salt in the water gives them a bit more energy to fight everything else that's going on at that time. So yeah, if you want to, around that level, 0.3% is ½ ounce per gallon. What I always say with salt though is buy a tester. You need to be testing it, and also you want to maintain that level for maybe 2 weeks as you're settling it in, and then at that kind of thing, just let it naturally dissipate out with water changes. There's no need to be mucking around with it too much. Hi, Ricky. Done a scrape on 3 fish, found 1 fluke on 1 fish. Should I treat to leave until a little warm as I'm not heated? That's it. So that's an obviously variation there of Paul's question. But you see, 1 fish on 3 scrapes, to me, 1 fluke on 3 scrapes is, I don't think that's your problem. But I would just bounce it back, Anthony, and say again, is that actually the problem? Have you noticed a problem with the fish, which is the reason for scraping, or is it just something you're doing proactively? Julian, that's not really a medication, is it? Another one, folks, actually, if you don't mind, because I want your feedback on this. So there's a lot more people tuned in now. The new format, the Q&A section will be topical each week, decided by you guys through a poll on the WhatsApp group and Telegram group. Links in the description. If you're not in it already, that is. I know a lot of you are. Most of you are. We're over 1,000 people now in WhatsApp group. It's nuts. Yes, and so if there are, I've made a big list of topics already, sort of like big headline topics. We can break down into them as it comes. We need to leave it broad to get the questions in. So if there are some topics while we're on you can think of will be good to add to that list, feel free, and I'll put them in the polls each week. And then the plan will be, if I've covered it this week, for example, we'll take it out for a good while. And as we work through that list, and when we burnt the list out, we'll come back to it again and do it like that. So each week we're not covering the same stuff. So Julian there, I'm going to leave the new detox one. I have spoke about this as well, because that for me fits under products. I had put koi products or maybe water additives as a topic to give you some idea where I've gone with it. I'm going to get one more, ladies and gents, and then we're going to switch over to the Telegram side of it. Hi, Ricky. We know PP, this is from Luke Riley. Hi, Ricky. We know PP is poor on the dosage volumes. Do you think other treatments are also poor, or mainly just PP? Yes, I do. Fluke treatments especially, massively so with this. Like I say, I think part of the problem is potentially that most people don't fill the pond up with a water meter and know the exact dosage. And there is differential between that and where it will be when you've used the calculations that you can use. So that is a problem, especially when I don't think the medications are strong enough anyway. So yeah, I mean, theoretically, with them not being strong enough, I think they're being underdosed quite a bit, and is why we don't see it clear out. And I base that off what I see in Japan. You know, I had a treatment with a conversation with Fujo about fluke treatments and a particular drug that's a common one, and how their approach was actually to really go stronger on the dosage the cooler it got, which makes sense because the absorption's not as good, so you want more of it in the water. But I think it was something like 4 times the dose I knew for that treatment, and when it's colder. It's just such a difficult subject to get into. And I feel like the only bit I can do is give the broad understanding of where I think the problems sit. But unfortunately, you guys have to figure it all out in between. And I've spoken to a few people about this. It's very, very hard to give advice on medication. And anybody doing it from a platform such as this wants a slap, because there's far too many variables in each case for someone just to say, oh, I dosed PP at 4 grams per ton, for example. That's fantastic. But if somebody using ozone, for example, goes and doses PP at 4 grams per ton, within 20 minutes, probably you got a pond full of dead fish. There's a lot to it. Giving advice in general, there's a lot to it. I've learned this over a lot of years of dealing. Mainly comes from the early years working in my dad's shop. You know, you work with people you know are completely raw and new to this. You've got to really work them through it, and learning as well that people often don't actually tell you the truth or admit small details that are very, very important in something like that. So, but yeah, from an awareness perspective, I think a lot of them aren't strong enough. And yeah, that also then means that the dosage is not particularly accurate. And then combined with maybe the water volume, your dose being maybe 300 gallons out, maybe more, who knows. Obviously, irregular shaped ponds are even harder to calculate if you've not filled it by a meter. There is a method using salinity that you can actually use, which is fantastic for getting your very accurate dosage. So there we go. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to proper mix it up now. I'm going to call time there on that bit. I'm going to now run the Koi Focus section, which is on a lovely batch of Takano Sankes on which are coming up for our next grow out event. I'm going to check that my kitchen's still in one piece as well while that's running. And then when I come back, we'll come back to question time and the topic from the Telegram group, which was my past experiences. So if you'd like to start firing any questions in for that, we'll pick that bit up after. And then at the end of it, I'm going to tell you a bit more about the mystery box and a few other pieces as well. So it's going to catch me out this again, isn't it? Because they've changed it all over. However, I'm in my folder now, which is helpful. Absolutely fantastic to have Aaron back now at work. He's thrown this one together a treat. So this is a segment of the wider video that's going live tomorrow about the Takano Grow Out event and our first release of Tosai boxes as well, which is going to be quite cool. Right, you're going to lose me again for a second here. I'll get that running and yeah, come back shortly. But remember, questions for the next topic, all about my past experiences. I'm happy to go into anything there related around the business, Japan, you name it. Feel free to fire away. So if we just look through a few examples, you'll really see what I mean in this. So this fish here is probably an absolute prime example. Lively one as well. For so many reasons, this one, because we can see the bone structure. Really powerful. It's got this huge head. When you actually look at that and take away the pattern, it's really vast, and there's plenty of power on the shoulders, and we can see a prominent backbone going in there. That's the bone structural elements that I like to look at. As well as that, I look at the length of the body. So here now I'm looking at that. It's really good proportions, and I've got this nice gradual taper down into a strong peduncle. The peduncle doesn't want to be too fat at this point, but likewise it doesn't want to nip. What I'm looking for is this smooth line down both sides, which is being achieved here. Really great fish. Also with that one, you can see the benny. I like the benny quality. I'm actually looking at its thickness more than anything here at this point, and the shine, and the kiwa and the sashi. It is orange in its hue. That's perfectly normal at this point. That will become more red as this fish grows. And then the sumi, look, there's no sumi sat on this, but we can see it in all these areas, which is telling us that sumi's there. We just need to progress it out. Normally with fish like this one, it'd be more of a slow progression, whereas you can get some examples with this one, just get it quickly, where you could actually be that it's not always the case, but this could be baby sumi showing early, which could actually potentially drop off as that fish grows in this next growth phase. As I've grabbed that fish, actually what I've also got there is that phenomenal Takano gin. Now this is a characteristic that he believes come from the oldest version. From his information, I don't know how factually correct it is, the very original Sakai lines will originated, the parent fish used to create will have some Matsunosuke blood in there, and this is a characteristic that was really strong in Matsunosuke. There's not a lot of blood in there this currently, we're talking way back here, but this line and basically this shine is something he found in a few fish. He really liked it having seen Matsunosuke Sanke, so he's selectively tried to breed it, and we see the shine. It's basically 2 to 3 rows of scales sat around the lateral line. It's not Ginrin, it's just a quality element, but it looks absolutely fantastic. Very unique characteristic in his fish in this modern day. Bone structure wise, again, you can see it with this one. Looks, this one's an absolute beast. And look at that one as well. That benny is insipid at this moment. What we have to realize here is this can change and will change, because the way these fish were also kept in conditions where there was no daylight as well, which will affect them. But it isn't taking anything away from the thickness. That's superb. Kiwasashi is good. But yeah, look at the bone structural elements. Huge head, huge backbone, and it's a really thick set. Even the height, look, that's important to look at. The height of the fish there, because when all that weight comes, it needs space upwards, downwards and across for it all to fill out without deforming the body. Even in the smaller fish, we can still see it, and there is real high quality levels in some of these smaller pieces as well. This one, for example, has a really strong pattern. It's got all the other qualities. Structurally, we can still see it set well, and what we don't have to worry about is that fish being smaller than these right now, because it has the attributes. We have to remember these are in a shared environment, and there's always a competitive advantage to ones that are bigger. So we will get some of that caught up throughout the growing process, but it might be that when it comes to being in your pond later on, that it really kicks on from that point. So yeah, that's that bit. I've already covered the sign of orangey of the benny. When you look at them all as a collective, the benny is that more orange hue at the moment, which is no concern for me whatsoever. We've got the varying bits of sumi, but one of the main styles of Takano sumi, and the one I love the most, is the sumi that materializes in areas you can't see it. It pops up as a shimmy or two, looks like, and then actually forms into real blocks of sumi. If I show you here, look, this fish is actually a prime example of what I'm talking about. If we look at this area of sumi here, look, it comes through in a dusting or a little spot like it is there on the benny. And then before you know it, these little spots form big blocks of sumi, and away we go. But those examples keep it really nice and tightly refined, like this one, look. That's got fantastic kata shoulder sumi there behind the head. I mean, just look at the quality of that. That is Takano Sumi right there. It's fantastic. All these have the potential to reach that. It's just not there right now. That's what you have to remember. They're pretty big for their age, and they're still very young and been kept in conditions for most of the time that's not actually allowed the Benny to progress either. And then really it comes down to pattern preferences. You'll all have that. We've got examples in here. There's a few Tanchos included for Tancho lovers as well, but where you've got some more modern style Sankes with a lot more Shiroji, like this one, and this really is just a preference. Or then you've got the heavier patterned ones like that. But again, look, just look at that Sumi there. That's not even fully formed. That's still going to become even thicker. And you've got that Takano shine there again, look, on the lateral line. Absolutely amazing. They are just superb, and this guy is so widely regarded amongst his peers in the koi breeding community in Japan. And not forgetting, this is still just his hobby. He does not, every time I talk to him, he will not profess to being a professional koi breeder. His actual profession is mud pond construction. And yeah, I really can't wait to see. I think the most exciting bit for me here, I always like to see the reaction when people have selected the fish and they see it after the growing period when I've worked my magic. But at this point, I think it's going to be so vast because there's not only been the growth and body change, there's going to be the massive change in pigmentation as well. So how you can participate in this event. The Koi tickets are now online to buy, koionline.co.uk. There's a link in the description. 50 places available. However, and this is a reference point for you, we always release fish to our group members and previous event partners. Forgot to unmute my mic. I cut that off early because I didn't realise Aaron had put that bit in. Yeah, all them details will be. It was just the appreciation part we wanted. So sorry about that, ladies and gents. But yeah, they're looking fantastic. So there is a video dropping with the full breadth of all that and all the information tomorrow. But the nice bit about this event, and now you've seen it, is there's actually a physical part to the selection. A lot of you watching may well have participated in our Battle of the Breeders event and stuff like that. This is on a smaller scale, so you buy your ticket, they're 295 quid a whack. And yeah, on the date we've got set, you come to the venue that I showed you earlier, and we'll have a nice day there with the fish selection done by lucky draw. Then they'll come back with me for a couple of months, and I will work my magic on them and see where we get. I think all in all, for that kind of brass, for what you're going to end up with out of it, is just unrivaled. But that's what I love it with these. It's just all round a fantastic experience, and the selection part of it I love seeing because it really puts people outside their comfort zone, and I think that's really, really important as a learning experience. Just realised as well I didn't do my little koi focus thumb screen prior to that. I'm fucking useless, aren't I? Yes. So let's get back to it then. Questions. So yeah, from the Telegram community, my past experiences, and we've got a couple in, actually, a couple of good ones, and feel free to fire in any more. Satch, first of all, the Koi Explorer. Who or what has been the biggest influence in your methods or ethos over the years? I think a lot of you guys could probably answer this one. However, it's not as straightforward as it will be. So without doubt, and I forgot to mention as well, I'm off to Japan next week. Cannot wait for that. Pretty big stuff. Oh, camera phasing out. Yes, so Fujo, hands down, biggest influence. Not just in koi for me, but also, I don't know what's going on with my camera there, ladies and gents. Oh, there we go. Yeah, in life, to be honest with you, he's had a massive influence in so many things for me. Business as well, the way I look at things, understanding Japanese culture, massive, huge impact. He's a phenomenal guy and really has been a guiding force in all of this. But to be honest, I think the lucky part for me, I say lucky, it's not just happened by chance though. It's something I've really pushed for, is the level of exposure I've had across all of Japan, which has allowed me to take little bits from everywhere and bring it together and implement it and try things and trial things from there. Because these breeders, not a lot stuff is passed down to some degree with a lot, but others they're learning. It's stuff they learn firsthand. So, when you consider the amount I've had, you go down south, you see Sakai's, you see Dainichis, so many other big breeders as well. I've managed to sort of really get behind the scenes, and this started happening even more and more when I started speaking more Japanese as well, because you get on a different level. And it's just, I think through shared passion, I've always been lucky that the guys, and the amount of time now as well, the trust there, and they've really opened up. I don't know what's going on with my camera, ladies and gents, if it is transferring through what I'm seeing on my screen, but there's no connection issues from what I can see. I do apologize. Yeah, it really, really had a profound, just the whole thing. And now getting to see so much and then being able to implement it and practice it, absolutely vast. Just give me 1 second. I'll see if I can fix this. See if that worked. Absolute shit show that. Yeah, amazing stuff. No, it's not worked. So yeah, I would say, of course, Fujo, Makoto as well. I mean, everything around NND. It's not just being Fujo. Makoto has been phenomenal as well. He's taught me so much, and just around seeing his work ethic, and even the last time I was out there, went for dinner, laughing, calling him my Japanese uncle, and it's quite funny because he even at the time said, bearing in mind at this point I'm 34 years old. I mean, I first met him when I was 13, but I think they still see me as that little kid a little bit, because he's like, I'd not really thought we could go out for a drink like this. And then, as it rolled on, was talking to him about how he's found the transition from being koi breeder, because his dad, it was just, sole koi farmer mentality, and the transition to actually operating a company and him becoming CEO. And if it had kind of impacted his passion, his love, and managing it all, because I'm not going to lie, at times it's something I find incredibly difficult, and still a world I'm finding my feet in as well, and learning as a company grows and scales and it all changes. Because the one thing I've found when this has happened in the past, and it removed me from the thing I love the most, is it just made me fucking miserable. And I was just curious to see from someone like that where he was at. So it was really nice. So even now, having a big impact and influence. But I would say overall, it's just the sheer exposure and all the learning opportunities that I've had at so many different places combining into one, that's really truly had the greatest impact. Because for me, Fujo and ND, they're ranked incredibly highly. They know a vast amount between them. But then you look at the levels of some other breeders as well. I think it's just important to absorb as much as I can. And from day one, it's just exactly what I've done. I think it's hugely important. And now more and more of it comes from my own first-hand experiences. But again, I can't remember it might have been on the last trip, what I was learning and the journey I'm about to embark on as well. These guys are really going to step up again for me, and dust up and help come alive. And yeah, give me a guiding force in areas, or the one area really where I've not got as much experience and want to start gaining it. So yeah, fantastic question, that, Satch. There was one more. Let me just have a look. Peter, what's been your biggest mistake? Someone asked me this recently. Oh, that was it. It was Stuart, our event. And I actually went off. I gave him an answer, and then I actually get a week. I thought about it. One of what I deem the biggest mistakes in my life, not necessarily in the koi world. I don't know where this is pronged off. There's plenty in koi world side, by the way. in life, when I spoke about this was really one, and it is a learning lesson. But when I took the reins of the business, so basically at one point, Koi Wholesale started with me and my old man. It all kind of broke down a little bit, and in the end, I bought him out of the business and carried on. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even like what I became over that period. It was a rough period in my life anyway. There was a lot going on, and yeah, I was acting like some kind of fucking playboy billionaire, honestly. And I went out and got myself signed up to two very large, very expensive cars that I paid for dearly for over a 4-year period. And that, looking back, hurt the business as well. One of the things most important to me, because, that money, looking back, would have allowed me to employ at that time maybe one or two people, which would have made a massive difference. But even without doing that and looking at the sum of money that was involved over the 4-year period, with the costs of the fucking payments and the running costs and everything else, that right now reinvested in the business would have paid dividends big time. Or even just personally, trust me, it was enough. It was enough to buy small property around where I live. It was fucking ridiculous. And it's not something I don't feel ashamed of it. It was a massive learning experience. And just since then, a big defining moment in my life in that respect was when, because part of that whole thing, there was a lot around, needing them as kind of externalized trophies and shit like that. Honestly, it makes me skin itch a bit now. But as soon as I could get away from that, and it was at the very last minute, I went out and bought an absolutely fucking very old £1,500 Skoda, and that became my new trophy, because all the work I'd done on myself over that time had really come to fruition for that to happen. So that was massive. That was it from a personal and a kind of life expected. In Koi, what would be the worst one in Koi? Oh, I feel like there's a massive list of them sat there, to be honest with you. And I can't particularly pinpoint one, because, again, mistakes, yes, I just now see them as learning experiences, and it's all of it that's brought us together to this point, really. So would you call them mistakes? I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that one, like I thought about the other one a bit more, ladies and gents, and I'll come back to it at some point. That's not a cop out. And Paul, yes, don't mention United. No need for that one whatsoever. Yeah, there we go. So that's that one. I don't see any more questions on that, ladies and gents. So I'll leave it there. Yeah, bits we've got. So Japan trip coming up. There we go. Cannot wait for this one. It's a quick one, 7 days. I'll be flying out Tuesday, back Tuesday, and stay tuned for it, ladies and gents. I did share on my last trip some of the up and coming and the plans, and this trip is all about really kickstarting that. And the main purpose, the main task I'm going there to do is just hard to say. I'm excited is an understatement. This is going to be huge for me, just an absolute highlight. Can't wait for it. Yeah, awesome stuff. So can anyone else smell burning? She's nowhere near oven, mate. However, when I went in, the shape of one of the cookies, I've got some questions to ask. Oh, dear me. Yes. So yeah, Japan trip, amazing stuff. Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be some nice time spent with people who are important to me as well. So fantastic. And then last one really. Oh, there you go, Paul. Yeah, people who were in the Battle of the Breeders, the Shirotsauri side of it from last year, we're having another judging contest again on the progress since then. So if you was in that, you're in the WhatsApp group, no doubt. Get your pictures into me. Middle of this month, we're having on it. And yes, we'll have a look what I've seen so far, particularly Paul's. Oh, yeah, I'll be sending Paul an invoice to bring it back up to the true value of where that sits now, mate. Never mind what you paid for it. Yeah, ladies and gents. So just the last one for people who weren't here at the beginning. In next week's show, sorry. The banter going on in that's cracking me up right now. Yes, and it is fucking something shaped like a body part of the male anatomy. What the fuck? She's cracked the door open, getting impatient now, I think, as well. I've lost my thread there. Yes, mystery boxes. So we're going to add it on because, to be honest with you, I'm even feeling better about all this since I decided to ditch this auction segment to it. I love selling a fish like nobody else. However, I just think it comes to a point. This time I have this educational stuff and everything I do is very important to me. And when it, honestly, I have it with the team all the time as well. It gets talked about, and I'm the first one. The minute it comes to encroaching around my channel and what's done on it too much around sales, it just gets battered off in quite an abrupt way. Yeah, but the mystery box I think is going to be cool. So yeah, prize draw competition, and what's going to happen is this will go on the through the Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi WhatsApp group. So if you're not in it, you can do that using the links in the description. You'll be able to buy tickets. They're going to be very low price. So this is around having some fun more than anything. And what's going to happen is we're going to create 2 mystery boxes full of prizes. There could be anything in them. Sometimes there will be koi. There can be other stuff. Who knows? Who knows? And then we're going to film that part as well as we're doing them and sealing them up. And then, yes, or something like that. Then on the live show, so on next week's, what we'll do is we'll do the draw, and the winner will get to choose between A and B. And then from there, we'll run the video, which will reveal what's in the box. It's going to be good fun. That really good fun. I think. Let's see where it goes. You lot will tell me if you think it's a good idea, and we'll go from there. So that's that one, ladies and gents. Apologies for, I don't know what was going on with cameras and bits there, and this UI and everything's changed on this. So I'll have a sit and figure all that out for next week. But yes, there we go. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. I think we're at about 220 people. Oh, she's here, look. It's peak. How's the cookies?
They aren't in.
No, I know that. So I better go. Hopefully be back in the studio. Oh, in fact, I won't next week. So next week I'll be in Japan at that point, won't I, darling?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see and figure that out. Hopefully we'll find a way. I'll have to look at timings and see if I can fit that in somewhere along all that. So thanks for everyone who's tuned in. I'll catch you again.